This week on the 40 Black and Dad show, we have another guest, and we're gonna help him prep or just see how he's feeling about becoming a father. I'm Aaron Covington,
And I'm Tony Ragg.
and we are
40 Black and Dad.
all right. This week we have a old friend of mine, Kruger Dunn. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Welcome to
Going
the
good.
pod.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
pod. Yeah. And so we just talked, or I just asked you a second ago, but you're due in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the date the doctors gave you,
Right.
right?
They got me excited with that July 4th date, but now they're taking it away. They said it's going to be late June probably.
So you're going to not be happy with the fireworks because the virus keep your baby up at night.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. See, that's what this pod is for. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
I mean, you'll definitely be asleep during the fireworks.
Hopefully.
Also, you either be asleep or you'll be, the baby might wake up, but there's no way you're going to participate in fireworks this year. But it's funny because we had a date closer to Christmas, so I was like, oh, Christmas baby, and it ended up being earlier in December, like far enough where it's like, oh, you're a holiday baby, but not a Christmas baby.
Babies never come late. They always come early or on time. My son, it was the exact date, just the C-section
nice.
pull them out, but just because of a C-section, not good for. But yeah, they never come late though. It's always planned for early. It sounds like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend who's born on Christmas, and he hated it.
That's the worst.
Yeah, so maybe July 4th would have been bad too. Maybe it's better for her.
Yeah, as a parent, you have to handle that, I think, delicately, even in close proximity to the holiday, but especially if it's on the holiday.
You only get one set of gifts. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Just a birthday.
Well,
both.
They'll never know. They'll never really know.
It's true.
Even if you're like, okay, I got you this is your Christmas gift, and this is your birthday gift. They'll never really understand if they would have gotten something different a month earlier or 2 months later.
One has to be from mom and dad, one has to be from Santa. That's the distinction. Like, this is from Santa, this is from mom and dad.
Yeah.
Mom and dad gift always has to be better though. So I'd be curious to talk to your friend about that, because that's gonna be funny. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I'll ask him about that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, well, go ahead,
Kruger. Your parents just have to plan ahead really good to have all that money at once.
Exactly.
That's
Otherwise,
true.
it's just whatever they had. Yeah.
Well, what you miss out on really is like the party, the separate party.
It's like,
we having a birthday party, because my dad was a December 23rd.
Oh.
And I had a friend who was a Valentine's and a friend that was a New Year's baby. So you just don't have your own birthday party. Nobody's coming over.
I was gonna say nobody's coming to your party. Like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I'm sorry for that child.
I used to be jealous of my.
Go ahead.
I keep talking over you. Sorry about that.
It'll happen.
I was jealous of my brother and sister because they're both July babies. So like they'd have a big birthday party, people would come, play in the yard, all that. Whereas mine was in September, just like, maybe some cupcakes during class. That was about it.
It's funny, as you become a parent, you realize there's a lot of babies born between May and like August, September, like summer babies. Again, I've never calculated the correlation of what 9 months and but like my son is 2, he'll be 3 next month in June, and like we've already had 2 birthday parties, and we have 2 more. We have one on Monday, and then we have 2 more, and then my son's birthday party as well. So it's like 5 birthday parties in the span of like a month. Like, why is everybody being born in the summer? So I don't know what the correlation 9 months is. I should probably calculate.
It's like October, I think.
That's random though.
September, October.
Like
when the weather gets cold, people cuddle up.
Everybody for Halloween, like, we should do Halloween, baby.
Happy Halloween. Let's get it on. So Kruger, how are you feeling? This is your first child.
Yes, first one.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I've decided, I was stressing for like the first 4 months of pregnancy. And then I decided, like, based on everything, this podcast, first of all, big fan. All the information on there helped me. And then also friends telling me, like, you don't know what it's going to be. Like, you're going to feel completely different as soon as it happened. So I was like, oh, then why stress? Like, I'm gonna be stressed. I'm a stress monster all the time. So I'll just wait for when I have to be stressed to start feeling that stress.
Yeah,
What
there's a lot
was?
of the,
Go ahead,
go ahead.
so.
I said there's a lot of that just you don't know what you don't know till it happens. And for first time parents, we did it, and it's funny because I mean, Aaron talked about this. Like we have more information now as parents than our parents did and their parents did, but it's still like you have like you can read what's going to happen, but you don't know until it happens to you and your kid.
Mm,
Yeah, so like there's a lot of information, but you still have to go through it to be like, okay, I'm a parent now. I went through this.
that makes
Do you
sense.
know any, like, what was stressing you out specifically? A couple things. Like for me, I think thinking about space, and some of that's not really a concern early. The baby's not crawling right away, you know what I mean? But I was like, because we were in an apartment before, and I was like, where is she gonna crawl? Where is she gonna play?
Hmm.
There was a pool there. I was like, can she get in the pool? And these
Mm.
aren't even like things to worry about the first 4, 5, 6
They
months.
can roll
It's,
over.
it's nothing that they're gonna do. They're not doing anything, but they can't crawl in a section longer than a foot or something. They can't move. You're holding them all the time. But that was something that I was really was constant in my mind early on.
That's good to hear because yeah, we're in a 1 bedroom apartment, and I'm not gonna turn this camera around because my wife will kill me for showing you. But there's just boxes everywhere from the we had a baby shower, and uh, my our parents giving us random stuff. I have hand me downs from my sister. Like there's just stuff everywhere. I'm hoping we figure out where to put it at some point.
You'll use it all in time. Did you say you're having a boy or girl? I'm sorry, I missed
Oh,
that.
girl.
It's a girl. Okay,
Yeah.
congratulations,
Thank
girl
you.
dad.
I think this
Have
is the first.
you?
No, Gundy had the girls,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But my
we've
cousin
had
had a girl as
mostly
well.
boy dads or
Yeah.
young
But
sons. So we're catching up with the young girls now.
we got to keep a tally of how many girls and how many boys have we.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts? Finding out you're gonna be a girl dad. Like excitement. You're ready.
Yeah,
Like
I was super excited because I don't know how men think. I know technically I'm in a male body, but like I've just never really fit in with men. So I didn't know what lessons to teach if it was a boy. The only thing I was a little bit upset about was no football because football is a big part of growing up for me. But now they just added flag football, the Olympics, and women can play. So we got back in there with football.
they have women's professional football leagues too. So don't count her out
Oh,
yet.
sweet. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
Do
So
they get paid decent?
again, I don't know what the pay scale is.
I was gonna
Again,
say
I
let's get
can't.
on that soccer. I was gonna say let's
Yeah,
get on that
not
soccer
sure what the
tip.
pay scale is, but it's for the love of the game, though, Kruger. Remember.
True, true.
No, it's funny that you say that, and I'll let Aaron go after this. But it's when me and my wife were having our child, our son. We thought it was a girl too. We were like so ready, and the same you had just mentioned. Like I was excited to be a girl dad because I didn't know anything about. I have no sisters. I have two brothers. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be doing like a bunch of new things, like maybe going to gymnastics practice or things
Oh yeah.
that I never thought I'd do. We end up having a boy, and like we were kind of like, oh, but like now it's like super dope. But it's funny, like you have that expectation in your head at first, and then you just don't know what is gonna happen when you have, the boy or girl, whatever it is. So that's funny that you'd mentioned that too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just
Um,
actually my biggest concern. Maybe I don't know if I know you both have young children, so maybe it hasn't come up yet. But how do you know what to make them do and what to listen to them that they want to do? Right? Like because my sister's maybe I'm not even gonna mention her. Let's say any kid, like
yeah.
what age do you start them on music or a sport or like and do you give it to that? Do you like say, here's a violin, start learn, you know what I mean? Or do you let her choose the instrument and then facilitate it?
Aaron, I'll let you go, and then I'll go.
My approach. Okay, so first we had some very funny experiences. So early on, and I don't know if she even still would respond like this, but when she was crying, we put on P Funk,
Mm.
George Clinton, and
Nice.
she would stop. And this happened like a few times, and we were just like, she loves the funk. Maybe she was an old funk musician back in
He's a musical genius.
in a previous life. Um, so even early on, and now we have like a Bob Marley playlist that we play
Mm.
like almost every day, and we have started to notice that it kind of calms her, or we feel like it does. Maybe it doesn't, but and then of course you play like the baby tunes, maybe some sing-alongs or some like peaceful piano, like Tony mentioned in another pod on Spotify. But my approach, honestly, is going to be early on giving her things to do, and then just keeping in communication and assessing if it's something that she likes and if there's something that she would like to try different. Eventually she'll have her own tastes and things, but I feel like for me as a kid, I'd like to be introduced to things. But of course, when we were growing up, it's like, if you start something, you got to finish it. But if I could have had the freedom to not finish some things and pivot to some other things,
It's true.
that's what I would have liked. So that's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and for my son, so like I said, he'll be 3 in June. So we are actually in that space where
Nice.
we've been introducing him to different things. So he does swim school weekly now. He did soccer for a little bit, and he did one dance class at my wife's behest. It was a free dance class. I'm saying this for, as a joke, but thank God he hated the dance class. But
Why is it thank God? What's wrong with
I don't want
that?
any beef from the internet, No, but I mean,
What's wrong with
was
dance
feeling
though?
it.
You gotta answer to that.
What's that?
What's wrong with dance though?
No, nothing.
Uh,
It wasn't for him, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. Like it maybe it was just the environment of that specific class. Like he did not feel it. Like they were like, it was more like expression. Like, you're a butterfly. I'm like, he's one. He doesn't know what a butterfly is. He doesn't even know what a butterfly is. So
this is
so
good
maybe that's the
controversy.
class.
Yeah,
You get a
But
lot of views on this.
he did soccer. He liked that a
right.
little bit. But then swimming, he likes a lot. Like we do swimming every Thursday. We just did it yesterday. He loves it. He's like starting to excel at it. So starting
Nice.
to introduce him to different things. Like we have a little basketball hoop in the house. We throw the basketball. He likes throwing stuff. So, you're gonna start to slowly see just within the normal, structure of the day, he's gonna start to, or she's gonna start to gravitate to certain things. And a lot of
Well,
times it's the things that you like, depending on what the situation is. So the kids always love
yeah.
to, make their parents happy. So it'll be some things you like and what your spouse likes as well.
That makes
Well, I
sense.
think, yeah, 'cause I think that early on, you kind of just, with the way the world is now, maybe it was different when we were kids. You just kind of, there were other kids around and you would play, or it was different. But now you have to occupy their time. And I think, as Tone can probably relate, as they get older, because right now all of my time is kind of with her. Even doing this pod, it's like she's she's in the house, but she's right behind me. So it's like you want those breaks.
Seriously, you need them.
As soon as you can get them, you're like, can I get a break? 18 months or 1 year or 2 years, 3 years. It's like, what class can we go to? Even if it's a class that you have to like sit there with them, but you can be on your phone.
So
A
I
little
would
mental break.
recommend to everybody swimming first and foremost. Like
Okay.
the beginning parts of swimming, you go in with the child, like for level 1, you're in there. So which is cool, like a cool bonding experience. The pool is always warm for me, so it's nice to get in. But then one, it's
Warm with
it's life
child
saving.
feet.
What's it? Yeah, exactly, right. But there's good practical skills for it, like teaching them certain things about boundaries and depth perception and things like that. So I would recommend, if anybody asks me, try swimming at some point, just so they can learn to be comfortable with the water, but also depth perception and things like that. But it's a really good bonding experience. And then from there, just whatever they like. Like my wife likes playing video games, so my son will sit with her and play Roller Coaster Tycoon for hours and just sit there and watch it. I love sports, so he'll watch sports with me too. And I always tell my wife, like, I wonder if he's gonna be a nerd or an athlete, because it's literally like me and my wife are very different.
Maybe both.
Very much
You
like
can be both
a
now.
nerd. Yeah. So it's like, come on, nerd athlete, right? Rhodes Scholar, NFL player, right?
One of my favorite players, Myles Garrett on the Browns. That's a big old nerd and very athletic.
That man, his parents are proud. Or
Yeah.
the Lopez twins that went to Stanford, and
Oh yeah, nice.
Stanford, and and playing the NBA. So that's the parents' dream. But yeah, like it's gonna naturally start to assimilate just what you have in your household. So don't put too much pressure on what they do. They're gonna start to gravitate to what they like.
At what age did you start swimming?
We asked me and my wife talked about this yesterday. We started at 6 months.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
yeah, yeah, you can start early.
Oh, okay.
Because like I said, you're in the pool with them the first for the first level. So for the first like up until a year or up to a year and a half, you're in the pool with them. So you get in, you're splashing them around.
Gotcha.
Again, just learning, teaching about boundaries and depth perception and that water you can go in it and under it, and it's a lot of really cool skills they learn. But then also again, when it comes to like kids flying into the pool, like Aaron had mentioned about having pools around, that's a big fear of a lot of parents. So that will help them understand like how that you can float, you can roll over in the water, things like that. So it was kind of dual purpose for us because we have a pool that
Yeah.
I love swimming as well.
So
Gotcha.
Kruger, you're getting ready. Any thoughts about delivery, being in the hospital, you know,
Yes.
that that literal first day, 2 days?
The the first thing is we DM'd a bit about it, is what
Yeah.
goes in the dad's go bag. Because I have Googled this, I've listened to podcasts, we have like 3 books, and they all talk about stuff for the mom.
Yeah,
Like, what other than a phone charger, what am I even supposed to bring?
more stuff for your wife. That's it. No,
Yeah.
I'm just playing. Go ahead, Aaron.
I think Tony, you actually gave me good advice on this early on, and in my experience was I really didn't need much. Toothbrush,
Yeah.
charger, and like one change. I didn't even need a change of shirt. I didn't change my
Oh,
shirt,
wow.
just like underwear and pants, because you're just kind of so alert. And then we did a C-section as well, so it was even more alert because
Yeah.
she's more tired, and it's a major surgery. So I was just like keyed in. I wasn't doing anything else, and the phone is enough entertainment for the 30 minutes at a time the baby sleeps or whatever. Or they may sleep longer actually,
Yeah.
up to maybe a couple hours, but then that's why you need the charger. So I really didn't need anything for those two days. And
Well,
in
that's
most
good to know.
hospital rooms, we had a TV, but it was not like it was hard to watch. The sound came from the remote control. It was like I felt like I was in the 70s
They always
hospital
have the
situation with
oldest
that.
TVs.
Yeah. So I was just on my phone in the free time, and then there was just a lot to talk about because we just had a baby. So
Yeah, true.
we spent a lot of time talking about not about the nurses, but just like, oh, did you see how she wrapped the baby? Or the nurse
Mm,
said this, we should look this up. Because whatever you look up before, then you have the baby and you're like, then you understand what you really need to be looking up, kind of, if that makes sense.
yeah,
In terms of
that does.
searching for like, yeah, how to how to put the baby in a crib or whatever kind of thing like that, how to feed them. And you're also really stressed about breastfeeding, whether it's going to work or not, or
Yeah.
he's going to take or not. So that takes up so much like energy and time that there's literally nothing else I needed during
Yeah.
that stay.
To piggyback off Aaron, exactly. Like I literally brought like a pair of shorts, a pair of sweats, like some comfy socks, extra pair of underwear, and like 2 shirts. Because literally you're not doing that. And so mine was a little bit different because I was doing COVID, so I literally could not leave the room.
Oh, wow.
I like my wife could leave the room one time to walk around outside and then had to come back. I was literally not allowed to leave. So I was really just sitting in the bed.
Wow.
But
That's a lot.
like I said, you watch a little bit of TV, you try to get some naps. You try like I would like let my wife sleep while I was watching the baby, and then we kind of vice versa. But yeah, when you're up, when you guys are both up, it's usually a nurse or a doctor coming in and check on the baby, especially if it's a C-section. You're talking about lactation, you're talking about swaddling, you're making sure the temperature's good. You're eating, they give you three meals if you're staying overnight. So there's learning
Well,
what you
they
need.
might not. So if
Oh, they,
find out if you can ask ahead of time, you might not be able to. In which case, just ask when you get there. But they have different food policies,
oh,
and
Oh,
we
okay.
couldn't order from the hospital. I could
Mm.
go to the cafeteria, but they would only bring
Oh,
food for her. They wouldn't bring
oh,
up 2 meals.
interesting.
So I had to get meals. We could share one meal,
mm.
but my other meals had to come. I had to go out and get them to the cafeteria, or I would leave, get where our hospital was. There's all McDonald's,
Mm.
Jersey Mike's, whatever was right nearby. So
Yeah.
find
So
out the food and make a plan not as soon as you can. It's not urgent, but I mean, you're gonna need to eat. So
Might just
that's
load up my bag with protein bars.
right. That's funny. I didn't know that, Aaron. Because yeah, like I said, so my
it
experience
does
was
help to have
exactly.
those snacks, Kruger.
Yeah, some snacks too. But yeah, I didn't realize that. So I didn't realize that they didn't give food for both parents. I just got it because I was in there quarantined pretty much. So that's good to know. I
Right.
didn't
I think,
realize that.
yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they they had to for you because of the
Yeah,
COVID.
they literally said like before I walked in the door, they said, "Do you need anything from outside? Because you cannot." The only I left one time because we did the umbilical, not umbilical cord
Placenta?
but yeah, not the placenta, but like the what's the DNA that you can store for shoot not
Well,
blood
that
cells.
The
thing,
blood, cord blood?
Yeah, the cord blood. That exactly
No.
the cord. I forgot the name of what it was. So I was allowed to leave one time because I had to hand deliver the box to the courier, and they weren't allowed to touch it for their policy. So I left one time to go to the front door with a security guard, handed them the cord blood thing, and then came back. So that's the only time I was allowed to leave. But they told me,
hmm,
if once you come in here, you cannot leave till you guys check out. I'm like, dang, they were very serious. But like I
yeah,
said, you're not gonna have a lot of like
that was a scary time too, COVID.
it
So
was. So you're not
um,
gonna have like free time to like read a book. You're not gonna want to. You're gonna, especially with the C-section,
well,
you want
also like
to
Tony
your wife
said, the nurses come in
all the
every
time. 30
30
minutes.
minutes, 90 minutes, like so it's pretty constant.
And that's if there's no issue. If there's an issue, they're in
Yeah,
there
that's just to check
more
on you.
often. Yeah.
God.
Um,
Actually, I wanted to ask about that cord blood thing you mentioned because that came up to us, and it's
Yeah.
like $10,000 to store. So we are strongly debating whether it's worth it or not.
So we did it because what is it that it gives you the
Stem cells.
superpowers.
stem cell.
Oh,
That thank
Yeah,
you, Kruger. Stem cells. Yeah. So they
yeah.
store stem cells for life. So if there's ever down the line like a Down syndrome or anything like that, those stem cells from the placenta have been known to um, like re-energize parts of the brain and things like that. So we did it just because we have potential for that in the family. So just in case that we needed down the line,
well,
obviously it's
wouldn't that be
a
something that
choice.
was at birth? I guess it would have to be other things, not like what you mentioned
What's
that could
that?
happen later.
Yeah. So the
Like
reason
Down is a
we're
birth
thinking about
condition,
it,
like
But there's certain things that stem cells can do to like autism. I think it's autism. I'm sorry.
mm,
Did I say Down syndrome? I'm sorry. I meant autism.
mm,
So like because autism can come at onset later on. So
okay,
there's with stem
interesting.
cells, it's been shown that if you have those stem cells from birth, because they like the doctor collects it right away and they put it into the jar or whatever, and they go off site.
right.
If that happens
So
later
that can
on, you
be
can
a.
do it.
I have to look into that.
Yeah.
That's very curious to me.
It is
True.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive, but like I said, there's a potential in our family to there's something could potentially
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So we thought it might be good, but
I'm a
yeah,
big sci-fi guy, so I'm
Right.
thinking about like 50 years from now, maybe they invent a way to like restore your DNA to what it
yep,
was. So if they don't have a sample, they can't do it. Then
that's
she can't
exactly
be
right.
immortal like all the other kids get to be immortal. That would stink.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Why do
your
my parents
friends
not
are
love me
immortal.
enough? Yeah.
She she's doing 40 and Immortal podcast in
Yeah.
40
40
years.
That's the next one with Kruger. Every week you're on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna be 40 forever. And how you feel
Or for
about
everybody
that?
listening who's not immortal. That's
Um,
funny. But yeah, that was a good question for sure. Like, yeah, it's most times it's gonna be spent sleeping when you can, making sure the wife and the kid are good, eating when you can, and then just trying to
yeah.
relax because
So
there's a lot. It's a lot that happens very quickly. We went into the like I said, it was not a scheduled C-section that day; it just happened to happen that day. So like
Okay.
I went to the hospital not expecting to come home with a child, and I did. So,
Surprise.
but it's a blessing.
what what else are you really thinking about
So I got
before?
this one might not be that important, but it has come up as every new dad I talk to is should I look uh
Are you doing you're doing a natural birth?
during the yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, right? If they tell us we need a C-section, we'll do it. But right now, it's not scheduled.
Well, like I said, we did a cesarean, so do not look at that.
Okay.
They just that's just a cut open and organs
Yeah,
falling out just from their description and being behind. They put up a plastic and it just sounded like a horror movie
gnarly.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
we had a
natural, I think I probably would have looked, to be honest. Maybe not like face on like this,
Yeah.
but like,
to be a creep with binoculars.
like,
What's going on in there?
I think like King Henry VIII was like a real creep like that. If you look it up, and that's why like we give birth laying on our backs, is because he liked to be looking, and like he was like a
No
real,
way.
yeah. There's like a story about that. It could be fictional, but I've heard it enough times now that I'm like, I
Wow.
think there's truth to it,
I'm
because
just
women
gonna
don't
accept it as
naturally,
true and tell
That
everyone I
sounds
know.
true.
because women don't naturally give birth on their back. That's actually like a modern thing, and it
Interesting.
originated, I think, with King Henry VIII. But if you're sitting there holding her hand and like looking over the leg as the baby comes out, and they're like, she's crowning or whatever, they, I probably would have looked.
Yeah, to piggyback off Aaron, yeah, if we had a natural birth, yes, I would have looked. We had a cesarean. I tried to look, but the sheet was really high, and it was actually
Mm,
quicker than I thought. Like literally, they're like,
Very
"Okay, are you ready?"
fast.
It's like, "Yeah, we're ready." I turned to look at her. She was nervous, so I was just like, focusing on her to make sure that she was good. And whatever happened, I was like, "You're fine. You're fine. You're good." And then by the time I looked over, the baby was up in the air. I'm like, "Oh shoot!" Like
wow.
it was very quick. Like it's like these doctors are like, this is what they do every day.
Yeah,
It's like our jobs are,
True, yeah.
you just go to
the
work, you do this,
cesarean,
and you go home. Like it was not like an exciting thing for them. They just did it.
yeah, the cesarean
Gotcha.
is literally you cut open the basketball and pull the baby out, where the natural is like,
Basketball.
yeah, you cut open the basketball belly, and the natural birth is like, that's where you hear more of what you see on TV.
Mhm.
Maybe not
Yeah.
as extreme as they play it, but the push,
Yeah.
push. So it's like a process,
Yeah. You're in
Yeah,
there for hours and hours of delivery for a
Wow.
cesarean. Like I said, I think it was like don't quote me on this. It was like 15 minutes. Like I was
Wow.
signing papers outside the living room.
yeah,
They wheeled her in. They brought me in when it was time. They said, "You guys ready?" I said, "We're good. Are you guys ready?" Like we're good. They started up the anesthesia. I looked at my wife. She was nervous. I said, "All right, good. You got this, baby. You're good." And they're like, "Okay, we're starting." And then I was like,
yeah,
"Okay, I'm gonna look." And then the baby was already out. Like it was very quick. But they did a great job of keeping everything calm and everything. But like I said, this is what they do. This is their day job. This is not exciting to them. They only there's an issue. Is it like chaos? Other than that, they were good to go. So I
Cool.
appreciated that. I would
yeah,
look if
yeah.
I were you, just to say that you did it. I think my cousin Bendy, I think he looked. And I think they did a C-section too, but don't quote me on that. But I think he said he looked and it was good. But I would look if you have the opportunity,
Okay.
if it's natural.
I mean, you'll
Good
be
to know.
focused on your partner too, so
Yeah,
you'll balance
yeah.
it
Like
out.
the first one, very my wife was very nervous, and she's
Mm,
normally not. Which you see the kind of that vulnerability a little bit. Like she's not at all like that. She's not like super emotional. So do you see the kind of that anguish in her face? I'm like, okay, babe, I got you. Like just hold my hand, everything's good. And she's like, is the baby fine? I'm like, let's check, and then he was good. So.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it goes by very quickly if you do a C-section, but even just in general, the whole process, I think 2 days later you're going to kind of forget about the actual delivery portion of it, assuming everything goes normally.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
Good to
yeah.
know. Yeah.
So and then let's get into the like the first couple of weeks,
Okay.
because that can be pretty overwhelming. Or if you have anything about that, I would say there's an intensity to their crying that you just can't really be prepared for.
Okay.
Um, so that's to prepare you.
Yeah,
Like
I'm probably most scared of that. I heard
hunger.
it's like genetically designed to like hit your ears in the most annoying way possible.
It has to be. It
Yep.
has to be
Yeah.
intelligent DNA design, frequency pinpointed. Talk about sci-fi to your parental
And you'll
ears.
know your child's cry too, like for sure.
Wow.
So like hunger for them, and we talk about hangry. That doesn't even describe when they get hungry. Um, so don't think that you're doing something wrong.
Mhm.
I think that's the thing. They're gonna cry maniacally. It is intense, and it's just they just need a little milk. Sometimes they'll get
Gotcha.
overtired, like they didn't go to
Mhm.
sleep because they don't know how to go to sleep, and then they'll start crying, and it'll get more intense, and maybe even either like a shrieking or a guttural maybe. And these are like, it's like, is she gonna hurt herself? Why is she crying like Chewbacca? Or why is she shrieking like the banshee? And it's just like that's the frequency that you needed to hear for
Yeah.
them to let you know something is wrong. But something's not even necessarily wrong.
Yeah.
They just may be hungry or tired, especially those first 2
Wow.
weeks. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's the only method of communication that they know that you respond to right away. And you and
But
as
sometimes
the
I
baby
don't
gets
think they're
older,
even communicating. They just are like,
just making a
it's
noise.
just like yeah, it's just part of being a baby, is
Yeah.
that
I'm just gonna
sometimes they
play
just
it.
need to hear their own voice. Even it's not even like, it's not always that something's wrong. And I think
Yeah.
keeping that in mind kind of keeps the situation a little calm. It keeps you from being like, am I a bad parent? You know?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'll start to understand like the different like tones of the cry too. So like I said, if nothing's wrong, it's just gonna be maybe just wanting to hear their voice, or they might be hungry or tired or want attention. So there's gonna be different ones as you can just understand the baby, and the baby understands like you, and the kind of the routine and the rotation, how the day goes. So you'll get that pretty quickly too. Do you
Gotcha.
have
And that's the first 2 weeks you said is like the worst, and then it settles, or it just keeps going
No,
forever.
no. It's
it
it's kind
starts
of like,
there.
yeah, it's kind of like if you start a new diet or workout program, and the first couple weeks you just have to get used to that being
Mhm.
part of your
Gotcha.
life, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like the shock of this new thing. And
Yeah.
then eventually over time, it's like, oh, this thing is, I'm still getting used to it now at almost 6 months. That like,
Oh, wow.
oh, she's here every day. This is life every day, as a, because your life for, 30, 40 plus years did not include this, and now every day
Yeah.
includes this. So
It's
it's
not
an,
bad though. Don't let them scare you. It's not bad. It's a
well, no, no,
blessing. Aaron loves his kid. No,
I,
sorry.
I didn't say anything about bad. I just said,
I know.
it's an adjust. It's an adjustment. It's what I'm saying is like, the habits, just what you're used to has changed. If you live somewhere for 40 years, you move to a new city, you might really love that new city, but it's still a new city
Mm,
for a few months, for a couple years. Then it's like, this is my city.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really great.
So it doesn't necessarily get easier after the first couple weeks. Um, but you get more adept at doing the things.
Mhm.
The first diaper change is like, what? The first blowout is like, it's everywhere. And then you're like, I know how to handle a blowout. I know how to handle spit up, you know,
And I
sort
told
of.
Aaron,
You can
and
get
I
through
told
it.
Aaron this, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you as well, Kruger. It's like, and like after like 6 months or a year, like you get kind of like a PTSD of some of those like early moments. Like you're not going to remember like the bad crying or the late nights really like when they're one, and after that, because
Oh, yeah.
there's so many new milestones that you're going through every day and every week and every month, that the quote unquote bad things or the things that were stressful, whatever, they're not going to matter. They're not going to register to you later on, because you're already doing something new. So like the diaper
I don't know.
change, the
I recorded
sleeping.
these things. I recorded them.
Oh,
Was
okay.
she
So you can
screaming?
repair. Yeah, you can.
Was she screaming? I record that sometimes. I'm like,
He's a
I don't
glutton for
want to
punishment.
forget it. I don't want her to forget it one day
So
to embarrass her. Like, this was you at
this,
3 months, just bawling because you,
When she
you
wants a
know,
that's
car
hilarious.
at
yeah,
16 or
Yeah,
whatever the
you want
age
a
is
car?
now. Yeah.
this is my time right
Apologize.
now. But yeah, so like you definitely get that, like you're always on to the next thing, so you don't ever like really super stress about one, because it's like, okay, well, now we got feeding down, now we got talk about sleeping, and then we got to talk about you know um breastfeeding, whatever the next thing is. So you're always on to that next milestone, because the first like 6 months for sure, and Eric can attest to this now, is like there's so much development that the baby's going through daily, and that new parents are going through, that you're trying to establish a new routine, or set something else up, like you go from the bassinet to a crib, or from swaddle to
Yeah.
to diaper. Like there's a lot of different things that you're doing, so it goes quickly. So don't be concerned or super stressed about one thing super early, because later on you're gonna be dealing with something else, and you're not even gonna worry too much about the early on things.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else? Just like off the top of your mind,
Uh,
or that you
yeah,
had thought
one
about
thing
before?
is, how do you know, or maybe there is no balance of like non-family stuff, right?
Mm.
Because with my wife, I could be like, oh, I'm going out. But with a baby, obviously that like your child is now everything, right? First. but I also don't want to be that crazy person that has no life outside of taking care of a child, you know?
Aaron?
Um, I would say, I mean, for me, definitely first 3 months is like, yeah, it's kind of shut down.
Mhm.
It is kind of shut down for the first, but you sacrifice however many months you need to or want to just to kind of get comfortable and to support your partner, and even then you're establishing like connection with the baby, even though they don't really care about you that much as a dad. But it still pays off just psychologically for yourself.
Mhm.
And then there's some physical, like DNA and body contact things that I'm sure pay off for the baby. And then over time you just test it out, I think, and figure it out what works for you. I know you do a lot of comedy, so you
Oh no,
just have to,
I'm taking a break from that for
yeah,
several months.
when you get back into it, you just have to figure out what can my partner handle
Mhm.
by herself, like how long, it's 2 hours too
Right.
long, 4 hours too long. And then, you'll gradually get back into it, and you may make some bad decisions and you'll have to repent. or
Hey,
That's not new, yeah.
or you may play it too safe, and then be like, man, I feel like this or that. But I can, it's just part of life. There's no real like perfect way to handle that. And then work makes it complicated too, and you got to do
Yeah.
daycare or get a nanny or a babysitter or this or that.
What about
Um,
working out? Like, do you build in like 20, like I need 20-minute break to go for a jog or whatever, or just kind of let it slide for a few months?
Yeah, I mean,
Joe,
that's
go ahead. Yeah.
definitely. I would say that something that you wanted, if you're gonna do like working out or like have like a set thing that you're doing, make that part of the schedule. You can, like, if it's 30 minutes or whatever, you can.
Yeah.
For me to answer the question in totality, like it was during COVID, so we weren't going anywhere,
Oh,
so we weren't missing anything. But
yeah.
one thing I will say, especially in the first 3 months, is be cognizant of germs, because if you're going out,
Oh,
baby's immune system
That's
is
true.
still
Yeah.
growing.
great point.
So especially if you're going out to like clubs or wherever you're going, just be, I'm not saying don't go there, but just be very cognizant of what you bring home, because the baby has a very weak immune system.
Yeah.
So the first
For
few
sure.
for the first few months, they
Even
usually
even
say
really the
like don't
first
necessarily have too many people come
four
over.
months.
Huh?
Yeah,
What's that?
even the first 4 months, I think, because that's
Yeah.
when the first or second round of shots
Yeah,
Vaccines,
start.
right? Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Um.
that, just be
Yeah, we heard
cognizant.
about that part of it. I was thinking
Then
like if I was just to work out, it would just be at home. I
Yeah.
yeah.
canceled my gym membership already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do the
Good to
sit-ups
go
on the
there.
floor at the home
Yeah.
Yeah.
gym, you're
That's
fine. But yeah, you
you
definitely want to
know.
still incorporate that.
Yeah. Fit it in, and you'll miss some weeks probably. But also, I was gonna say, man, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was like the most important point about
Oh,
babies ever that everybody needs to know.
It was gonna
end of the
solve
podcast. Sorry,
everything.
It
guys.
was
Sorry.
gonna solve everything.
And
You were
cut
gonna
to
be,
black.
yeah, doop
This is
doop
give
doop
you
doop
the
music.
secret. You're gonna give them the secret, right?
um, well, it'll come to me. I'll text it to you and keep it
Yeah,
from the rest of the
Tune
podcast
in for
world.
part two if you want to know the
exactly.
answer to the secret of taking care of a child.
Yeah.
Exactly. Every parent must know. That's gonna be like a secret question.
Oh,
What you need to know
your
about kids.
your sleep is gonna change too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the idea of like socializing, it's like, can you come over during the weekend, during the day? Somebody's like, I got a buddy, he sends out his Eva for a birthday party that starts at like 8 or 9. I'm like,
Mm.
what? PM?
No, even now I don't
AM?
want that.
Yeah. I'm like, AM brunch, maybe, and I can
Right.
bring the baby, but 9 PM, I'm not partying out, man. Oh, you think you could come? No, I don't think I could come. No, I don't. I don't. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
be.
they're gonna be in house
It's,
most times by 8 o'clock. Yeah.
they're like, oh, you can get a babysitter. I'm like, the babysitter's not the biggest problem, or leaving the baby with mom isn't the biggest. I'm not gonna have the energy. I'm not
Exactly.
Mm.
awake by 10. If I make it to 10, man, what a night.
He was up late. You go all nighter.
Partying, man. I almost saw the 10 o'clock news. I saw the
Oh,
banner.
That's funny, because for New Year's, the last like few years, like we make it to 12:01 exactly, just to like we did it.
oh, that's
But
awesome.
sometimes
Congrats.
we're taking naps though. Like, okay, I'm gonna take a nap at 10. They're gonna
Yeah,
11:30. Stay
you
up to
wake up
12:01.
in time for
Yeah.
it.
Smart.
Yeah. So
Do you find you guys like socializing with other kids' parents more, just as because the time works out better?
Yes. You're all your friends now are going to be parents. Like
Gotcha.
your single friends are gone. Like they don't want to deal with you. And you don't, like, no, they don't want to deal with you and you don't want to deal with them. Like
Yeah.
you're not moving like a single person no more. Like Aaron said,
Yeah.
you're not going to a party that starts at 10. Like, no. And like you'll definitely, especially as your kid gets older, goes to daycare, and like, if you go on walks, if you go around your neighborhood, you'll just naturally gravitate to parents. And usually the wife or the female spouse does it first. Sometimes the guys do it too,
Yeah.
but because there's a lot of
Well, through
mom
this
groups
podcast,
out
this
there.
is how we're
Yeah,
connecting
exactly. We're trying
heads,
exactly. We're trying to
Yeah.
establish that because there's
Heck
way
yeah.
more mom support groups out there. Like my wife was in like a
So
mom
many.
group like 6 months before, and like I didn't think there was a dad group at all. I tried to find one, and there was nothing like anywhere close to what she had from a like a networking side, or just like a
Yeah.
learning how to do it. So she'll
Well,
probably have a lot more friends, and you're gonna be like the dad friend, like, hey, your husband likes sports, my husband likes sports, let's get
Yep.
together. Like, oh, that, like those skits and those things online, that's real. Like my wife's like, hey, I met a girl and her husband is,
well, I would say too. I
has
would
two
say
left,
too that
two hands. Like, okay.
I would say too that like your single friends are mostly gonna be through work, people that you work with. Like if you have a work thing to do, and they're single, otherwise, it is tough. And people want to come over and see the baby. So after a few months, or whenever you're really comfortable with it, that's when single friends will come over here and there, and some are more baby people than others. So you kind of judge it by that. But we have one friend that is over pretty, not regularly, but more frequently. And then other single friends, they'll stop by, say hi, hold the baby. I'll see you maybe in a couple months. And
Exactly.
but it's 2024, so it's like text. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, true.
And this is how we keep up. This is how I keep up with like my single friends.
Yeah.
Hit them up. What you doing this weekend? I'm just kind of trying to live vicariously. Just let me know what you're doing. So I can
That's the word.
know that people are out doing stuff.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like I'm kind of sad that Instagram is the way it is now, where it's so like everything's a business.
Oh, yes.
Because you used to see like people's pictures when they went out and stuff, and if I had that down, I wouldn't have any FOMO because I don't necessarily want to be out, but I could know that people are still having fun out there, and just I could live it through their photos.
That's funny.
But it's kind of different now. But
You got to start that new Dadstagram, a whole separate app, just photos for dads. Like you don't post necessarily, but it's like show them life still exists.
Yeah,
it's like your favorite restaurant you used to go
to. That's funny. That's a good idea.
Oh, you got the pie? Oh, I love that pie. Yeah, like. But like you can like as many times as you want. Like 100 likes from me personally.
Oh, that's funny.
I fell asleep liking your pics. Well, Kruger, man, it's great having you on, man. I'm gonna wrap it up. If you want to come on again if you have a couple more things, we can have you on again, but we'll definitely have you on sometime.
Yeah, I gotta do the before and after,
The after, a couple months after.
My
we gotta
just disheveled, spit up
all gray
on
hair.
myself. Just I look 60 immediately. Yeah. I gotta be on 60 Black and Death next one.
Exactly. That's funny.
Yeah, great having you, man. Listeners, subscribe.
Great to be here.
Pleasure meeting you for sure.
Like, subscribe, and follow, and yeah.